Hello and welcome to the Magic of Fishing. Today you join me for day 2 of my mini Collingham Adventure 2025. You could be forgiven for thinking it's mid-July because once again the sun is high in the sky, bright blue, and high pressure still firmly in control, just like it was yesterday on my first day back on the river for some months. And the excitement is still very much in my heart and soul, but the fishing is going to be tough. I learned that yesterday, even on the stick float, fishing with maggots and casters. It took me half a day to work it out and get the fish biting. I did finish strongly and enjoy a really productive last few hours into the afternoon and evening where it was almost a fish a chuck. Nice dace, 1 or 2 roach, a chublet, just old school enjoyable Trent fishing from my childhood and youth. Today I'm going to start off in the same way because I've been a bit slower getting started. I've done a lot of leading around because I've come to a new spot, a new peg, still on the conveyor belt stretch, even though the famous conveyor belt has disappeared since I was last at Collingham in July. A real shock for me that. But I've come further downstream, further along the field to a really quiet area. I've never seen anyone fishing this particular spot, but Kai, the ever helpful and friendly bailiff with Collingham Angling Association, has recommended it for the kind of float fishing that I was doing yesterday. There's a big gravel bed running out from the shoreline. You can see behind me it looks almost lunar, and it feels like the Trent that I grew up fishing, a lot more rugged, open, and despite the heat, yeah, it's just got that sense of wildness that I'm used to fishing on the Trent. Yesterday was a bit more sheltered with deeper banks either side. There are some trees on the far bank, but I'll be wading out because the shoreline gradually shelves away rather than that steep shelf that I was fishing above yesterday. So I'm going to wade up to my knees, flick a float out, rod length out, and try trotting along these gravels, see whether I can find any more roach, dace, even chub. Kai said it's particularly good in winter for the chub, and they feed on the fry that live on the shallows here. There's quite a few fry in evidence. A bit further out I found a deeper channel about 3/4 the way across, and I have gone a bit gung-ho considering the conditions. I've been spodding out or spomming out a bit of bait, just a few pellets, nothing crazy, some mixed small pellets, and I'm going to let all that settle down for this afternoon and evening because I couldn't come to Collingham and not have a go for the barbel. I think once I've done a few hours float fishing late this morning and into the early afternoon, I'll be ready to sit it out and try for one of the famous Collingham barbel. You might just be able to pick up some of the fry, like small roach, milling around in the shallows. Unfortunately the river is still very clear, and that is the main problem. Despite the fact we're just about into October as I film this, it really has felt more like summer. And on the Sunday afternoon and evening that I landed here, I was having a look around higher up in the 30s and 20s pegs, right up towards the weir, Cromwell weir at the top of the Collingham stretch, and it really did feel like summer. There were blooms in evidence, and again the water was not much higher than it was last time I was here. But even in the height of summer, on that previous visit, I did manage a couple of late barbel right at the end of a 2-day visit, including a lovely double figure fish. So although Collingham's just like any other part of the Trent or any big river, it can be moody, it is affected by conditions, the weather. There's always lots of fish in this river. It's just a question of whether you can find them, whether they're in the feeding mood. And you can see I've got the 2 fairly heavy barbel rods ready for later on the rod pod. They're 1.75 pound test curve rods because I'll be lobbing big 4-ounce feeders packed full of ground bait and pellet a good 3/4 of the way across, and that's why I had a good lead around first, just to try and find the deeper channels. Kai's been down to see me already and given me a bit of advice as well, but I am going to start on the float. Wading out, I can feel the crunch of the gravel underfoot or under boot, under wader. I have to be a little bit careful, it's slippy as well. You can see how clear it is. And I'm just going to be running a fairly light stick, 1.5 gram off the rod tip. I've been filling the bait pouch with a mixture of hemp and castor primarily. That's going to be my main feed. Also got a few maggots which I caught on yesterday on the hook, and Kai was telling me this has been one of his favourite pegs over the years when it comes to stick float fishing, particularly in the winter when the chub gather to attack the fry. He was talking about fishing steak on the hook, and I've not fished like that for years. Really do fancy giving that a go over the winter, whether it's on the Trent or elsewhere. There's good flow, and that's why I like to feed hemp and castor, because they're both dense baits. They sink nice and quickly and are more likely to stay somewhat in one spot or slowly move through the swim, rather than maggots, which really can get washed away quickly. And that's a fish. Second run through a tiny dace, but that's the beauty of fishing for bites, is you just get a real sense of what's in the swim, and then hopefully with a bit of feed. That was on double maggot. Let's try and get that tangle sorted. Also easier to throw hemp and castor with it being heavier than maggots, especially if there's a bit of a breeze on. And there is a touch today. It's nice to see a little ripple on the surface. It was flat calm most of yesterday, and you folks at home know I'm a big believer in variety in my fishing, and also therefore what I bring you from week to week. So although there will be at least 2, if not 3 Trent videos from Collingham, I'm sure you'll understand why it's become one of my favourite places to fish since I discovered this day ticket stretch just a year ago. Conditions were very different back then. There was a bit of a storm blowing, it was chucking it down with rain, and had been raining steadily for a week beforehand, so the river was a completely different animal. Very high, lots of stuff, trees, logs, branches coming down the river, a big wind on it, low pressure, and just try and put a bit more depth on. The barbel went on a feeding spree, and it is a place where if you catch it in the right mood with that extra fresh water in it, you can really fill your boots with barbel, and big barbel. I mean, some of the best fishing I've ever experienced a year ago. Since then I came back in February. Is that another fish on a snags? Snags. That'll teach me for going a bit deeper. Kai did say he fished it over depth and edged it through, so let's give that a go. Now I've found the true depth. And yeah, the trip in February was very memorable. Again, some terrible weather to begin with, and it was very cold being the middle of winter. but I did manage a lovely barbel when the sun finally came out, and just a brilliant way to finish that session on a very famous peg up at Cromwell Weir, something that you have to book well in advance normally and pay a princely sum to fish for the day. And then I was back this summer, and again the river was very low, clear. It was tricky fishing, and managed a lovely pair of barbel on the last afternoon and evening. And it is somewhere you can catch barbel during the day. You don't need to camp out all night. Only members are allowed to fish it at night. So this is only my 4th time at Collingham in my life, and this particular swim reminds me of where I used to go camping in my grandma and granddad's caravan as a young lad at Marnham, another tidal stretch. I'm going to have to edge this through a little slower, it keeps dragging under. Now it's rugged and open and exposed, a bit more industrial you could say, perhaps what most people think of when they think of the Trent. The wind's in my face, and this would be quite an exposed swim to fish if it was chucking it down. But I do look forward to giving it a go for the barbel, even if it doesn't happen for me. I've got this evening and all of tomorrow before I have to head back down the motorway to Surrey. Don't know when I'll be back, of course, but plenty of fishing ahead of me. And I'm just going to enjoy a few hours trying to work this swim out on the stick. And we'll get the big guns out with some pellet and give it a go for the whiskers. And there are lots of ways I like to get variety into my fishing, whether it's different venues, different species, different tactics, baits. That's before you get into the different seasons, of course, and conditions and what have you. But although I'm fishing the stick just like I did for much of yesterday, it is a completely new, not only a new peg, but a new area. I've not fished any of the pegs around here. And again, it just feels like a different river almost to where I was fishing yesterday, where it was really narrow, steep banks. Here it's much wider, this shallow gravel area running out. Still trying to work the depth and the pace out. And that's what I love to bring to my fishing for my own enjoyment, is try new things, mix that with stuff that I know I like and know I enjoy. So it's a combination of favourite venues, favourite methods, and favourite ways of catching my fish, mixed with new stuff, whether it's a new venue, a new peg, targeting different species that I'm not used to targeting, even barbel. I only really started fishing for after a friend of mine, David, had introduced me to fishing for them on my local River Way in Surrey. And then of course it was thanks to you folks at home that I discovered Collingham, because I had a go at catching barbel at Gunthorpe. I think I picked the hottest day of the year to give it a go, fishing below the famous Gunthorpe Weir. Beautiful place to fish, but the barbel were not biting, and I struggled that day despite fishing for about 15 or 16 hours. And yeah, one or two of you were good enough to say, John, if you want barbel and the Trent, try Collingham on a £10 day ticket. And the first 3 days that I came nearly a year ago were just phenomenal. I think I had over 20 barbel, broke my PB 3 or 4 times in one day. And as I say, the conditions were spot on. So that was new to me as well. So, you know, targeting big fish on big rivers. And that's something I really enjoy doing and want to try and do a bit more of. Struggling to tell if these are very quick bites from small fish or still just dragging, but they do feel like bites. And just like yesterday, I'll give it a good go, keep the feed trickling in, because it really did go from nothing, no signs of fish, no bites, no crushed maggots, to almost a fish a chuck at one point. And that's partly light conditions, partly the tide can have an influence, but also keeping that bait going in and trying to pull fish from downstream. By the way, if anyone can help me understand why fruit often comes down the river at Collingham, there's an apple, big apple bobbing away there. Yesterday I must have seen about 10 oranges, just full size oranges, coming past me, and I'm sure I've seen oranges coming down Collingham on previous visits too. Must be a big fruit and veg market somewhere. Oh, I bumped one there. Somewhere upstream perhaps. It's bizarre. Oh folks, at last. If I sound overly excited by this fish, which looks to be a nice dace, that's because through the miracle of editing, it's now good. Just get to this hook without a disgorge, I think. It's now a good 3 hours since I started fishing, and it has been tricky. So much so, I was on the brink of packing it in. I've had hundreds and hundreds of trots, and it has just been one of those days. I've tried different shotting patterns, bulk shot, shirt button style, different depths, edging it through a bit over depth, shallow, running down at the pace of the river. And clearly it's been really tricky conditions, clear river. I'm only fishing about 5 foot of water, which is normally nice, but with this bright sun, it's high in the sky now, it's about 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the afternoon. And you would not believe the perseverance involved and trying different things to get it going. I started feeling a bit more maggot, that seemed to work yesterday. Cutting back on the hempen caster. So a bit more maggot, just a small pinch every rundown or every other rundown. And I finally started getting a few bites. I've had 4 or 5, that's been nipped as well, 4 or 5 micro dace, and I think that is largely what's turned up or suddenly decided to start feeding. It's really small dace, hence I'm getting and missing a lot of bites, but that proper dace there, to finally feel a bit of a clunk on the strike was very satisfying, I can tell you. Okay, even I had to admit defeat. That one better dace was a rogue agent a good few more trots down and nothing but the tiny micro dace. So I've come all the way to Collingham. It's famous for its barbel. I love its barbel. I've caught plenty of them in the past, and although the conditions do feel particularly tricky today, I've got the rest of this afternoon and evening and tomorrow. And although this swim isn't known for barbel, I've never seen anyone fishing it. Kai put me onto it really for the hope of some stick float action, but that's exciting to me, trying new territory, virgin territory. So I'm going to feed quite regularly with the ground bait feeder, lots of small pellets in there, really stinky garlic and hemp ground bait. I think it's from Vortex Baits or Vertex Baits. Smells amazing. So I'm going to keep a few casts going out starting now, and we'll see whether we can do anything this evening. And if not, I've got tomorrow, and I can perhaps find a more well-known barbel peg with a bit more form, and we'll give that a go. But about 36 hours to bag myself a Collingham barbel, so let's get cracking. Right, this is serious gear for, we hope will be a serious fish. £1.75 test curve barbel rods, 5,000 size reel with 14-pound line on, 5-ounce cage feeder to try and hold a good 3/4 of the way across. Might be able to get away with a 4-ounce, but it is pushing through despite the low levels. And stuff that with the smelly ground bait, the garlic and hemp ground bait shortly. Got a Coram, I think they're called bolt and run bead and sleeve there, just gives it a little bolt effect, but free running feeder ultimately. And then I've got a long hook length of about 4 foot down to a size 10, strong size 10 barbel hook, and a hair rigged or a banded 8mm pellet, garlic pellet. So we're going for maximum smell, smallish, relatively small baits, with the water being so clear. It's not a boilie or paste job or a big lump of meat, keeping it fairly small particles. And I'm going to launch this rig. This is the upstream rod, right upstream to a gap in the trees that Kai helped me identify earlier as having a bit of deeper water. There we go. That's one rod sorted. Now I'm going to repeat for the second. And we'll be in with a chance. Well, that is both rods out for the first time. It feels ridiculously bright to be hoping for a barbel, but it's only going to drop that light level. Good to get some feed going in before evening, so I'll cast probably every 10 or 15 minutes. Keep busy. Oh, and although it is a waiting game when the conditions aren't great, it's, you know, the prize is worth waiting for. I would love to see one of these rods rip off at some point before I have to leave this special place. I've got to say, it's nice to sit down as well. Good 3 or 4 hours trotting. Fruitless, largely fruitless trotting. It's an active kind of fishing, and I normally love it. Certainly did yesterday, if you've seen that previous video, but could not get them to switch on today. And yes, this is a different kind of fishing. It's fairly inactive apart from the regular casting and feeding. It is a waiting game, but the adrenaline remains high, the heart rate remains somewhat elevated on all but the hardest of days, because if you've experienced the raw power of a Trent barbel, there's nothing comes close in my book. It is a new kind of fishing that I've got into in the last year or so, really. Not something I want to do every time I come fishing, sit behind 2 rods, but it's a big, forbidding river and you need serious gear to tackle it. Certainly looking for these big bronze torpedoes. It's not fishing for the faint-hearted, but let's hope I can manage one later today or tomorrow to cap off another memorable visit to Collingham. Still no action as the afternoon wears on and doesn't feel like we're a million miles off the evening now. I think that is the only hope, to be honest, today, is that light level falling. The sun is behind a little bit of cloud, but it's just been so bright all day. And there are a couple of things you can do when it's like this. Firstly, stay active, keep that feed going in, little and often, recasting both rods about every 15 minutes at the moment. No more than that, because I don't get the sense there's much going on out there. And the tide is still, I think, just starting to push in perhaps. The river's very low. Bait's gone on this rod, so always worth checking. I'll get this one sorted and recast too. Gone the downstream rod. Oh, we've got a fish on sunset. Oh, incredible. He's torn off down the river. Oh, my heart is coming out my chest. Thought the light levels were what we needed. It was the only thing that was going to help today, and no sooner has that sun gone down, that rod has ripped off in the gloom. Oh, I'm shaking. Doesn't feel like a huge fish, but what an adrenaline rush after all that patient casting, winding in, rebaiting. I'm gonna have to get the net. That's better. And you just never know on the Trent what it's going to be. I mean, fair old chance it's a barbel, but it could be a chub. No idea of the size. And to be honest, I don't care. After today, it's a fish. It's been a tough day. Whoa. I think we can say it's a barbel. Not a big one, but a barbel. Oh, that's sheer joy. Really worked for this. Magic. There he comes. He's mine. What an end to the day. Brilliant. Right, let's give him a rest, get him unhooked, and then have a look at him. Fantastic. Now that, my friends, is a beautiful scene, made all the more beautiful by this stunning barbel. He's a baby by River Trent and Collingham standards, but he is mint. He's put a big bend in my rod and a big smile on my face. Last knockings. Might be chance for another few casts yet, but whatever happens now, oh, I'm a happy man. Really worked for this one. It's beautiful. Oh my God. Oh guys. The other rod's only just gone, only gone and gone as well. I've just put the other one back. Oh, this is ridiculous. I was just slipping the other barbel back, looked up, and the rod that was still in the water, the upstream rod, has not only buckled over, but the line was heading off downstream. God, that moved fast. This has happened before, of course, if you've seen any of my other Collingham videos. When bite o'clock starts for these barbel, it really can start. Just working them slowly back up. Oh, and I'm in pieces now. If it wasn't enough landing that first one, another fish on as I'm slipping the other one back. Oh, how many times have I said it? You just keep the faith, you keep the feed going in, and sometimes it just doesn't happen and you go home. Other times it does happen. The magic happens, oh, and you end up like a shaking wreck. Within a few minutes of each other. And as soon as that sun went below the horizon, that sunset was stunning enough as it was, but now I'm going to remember it. Oh, and these fish fight. As much pressure as I dare apply. And I don't know if this is particularly big. I don't think he's a monster, but he certainly feels a bit heavier than that last one, which, as I say, by Trent standards is a baby, but every barbel is special, especially from this legendary stretch of the tidal Trent. It's come good again. I just want to get this fish out. Do not lose it now, John. That's a big old boil on the top. Oh, wow. This is a better fish. Let's get the net. This one came from the upstream rod, a spot Kai had advised me to try, a deeper channel that his friend has fished before. Oh, what a sight. Come on my beauty. In you go. Oh, folks, this is why we do it. The hope does spring eternal, and oh my God, has it come good. That's a serious fish, an absolute beauty, really long. Right, let's get him on the mat, unhooked, and another rest. You know the drill. People wonder why we go fishing. Already zeroed. Oh. Bang on 10. Bang on 10. I'm giving myself a double that. What a lovely fish. And he was halfway down the river before I could get to the rod. A real pale fish. A chunky fish. Wow. This river is so good to me. This stretch of the Trent, Collingham. What a magnificent fish from a magnificent river. An absolute beautiful barbel, beautiful creature. I think the smile says it all. He's earned a quick release. Let's get him back. Oh my God, is all I can say after that. Clearly I'd be nuts not to get the rods back out quickly. You can see the moon just about above the treetops opposite, but it's certainly less than half an hour since that sun went below the horizon, just a matter of a few crazy minutes. But us day ticket anglers do need to be off within half an hour of sunset, so what a sunset it's been in the end, and what a memorable finish to a day which felt really tricky throughout most of it, but you really don't care when that kind of thing happens. It is magic. So the rods are still fishing, but I'm going to use this time now to start packing my stuff up and taking up the short walk up the storm bank to the car. Going to be grinning all the while, and a whole other day to look forward to tomorrow. I now know that this day is going to be a video in itself, and we'll see whether another one is possible on my third and final day of this mini adventure to Collingham. Mind-blowing stuff. Stay safe, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon on the bank.